Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, ma'am, and to all of the audiences out there, if you're watching this video. Well, first of all, I'm Muhammad Dzikrulloh, and today I'll be presenting about the assignment of analyzing the journal with several questions that have been given by Ma'am Frido last week. Okay, so as you can see here on the slide on the screen, I chose to analyze the journal from Sri Kurnia Hastuti Sebayang, which entitled The Analysis of First Language Acquisition Malay on Children aged 3 years. I chose this journal because I think the discussion is kind of interesting and easy to understand as a learning material. Without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so what is the background of the research of this journal? Well, basically, the background of this research is how the ability of a 3 years old children to speak. Ms. Hastuti, which is the writer of this journal, is aware and understands that the language usually used by children is sometimes difficult for us to interpret, right? So it's because children, 3 years old children to be exact, still use language structures that are still chaotic and still experiencing like a transitional stage in speaking, so making it difficult for us to understand. However, it is important for us as their listeners. We must understand the situation and the conditions when talking to children aged 3 years. Because they still rely on the media and the environment in telling something. Okay, next we got the research question. Well, from my point of view, this journal has 3 questions in carrying out its research. As you can see here on the slide, they are: how is the ability of a 3-year-old child to speak? And then what words do the child say when they speak? And what are the things that affect the language acquisition and ability of 3-year-olds? Okay, these are the research questions. Next, these are the objectives of the research. Okay, first one is to describe the ability of a 3-year-old child when speaking. Second, to identify the words of a 3-year-old child when they speak, and to explain the things that affect the language acquisition and ability of 3-year-olds. Okay, for the previous study here. So this research journal does not provide any information. About the selected previous studies. So I conclude with 3 studies given by the lecturer. There is one journal written by Melian Arsanti, as you can see on the slide here. It is entitled Language Acquisition in Children, Psycholinguistic Study. So I can say that the research is the previous one because it was published in 2014 with the same object as this research. Okay, next we have the theories used in the research. Okay, the theory in this study used the theory proposed by Fromkin and Brodmann in 1998, which explains that the research on human language has shown many things about language acquisition, about what a child does or doesn't when learning or acquiring language. Also, the theory from Woodward and Markman in Sandrock's book about understanding the meaning of children who sometimes like to expand or overextend or narrow, underextend the meaning of the words they use. Next, the methodology. So the method used in the study uses qualitative methods, because the qualitative method is a method that emphasizes the aspect of in-depth understanding of a problem rather than looking at the problem for research in general. Okay, next, how the research is conducted by the researcher. Well, the research done by the listen and record method. The data were obtained by the researcher and then collected using the listening method, which aims to listen to the results of children's speech in a good way. After that, the oral data that has been obtained through the results of the listening process can be assisted with recording techniques, which aim to record or remember all the children's utterances in the ongoing language research. Okay. Now, next, for the result of the research, we have the result of the research here. As you can see on the slide, I put a snippet of the data from this research. Well, this study used a reference variable from the phonological ability data in the research sample, where the 3-year-old child is named Siti. Okay, so from the data obtained, in terms of phonology, Siti, who is 3-year-old, is able to speak, even though there are some letters that she still can't pronounce well. Furthermore, Siti also has not been able to pronounce a word in which there are two consonants attached together. So Siti often swaps the letter T into the letter C because maybe she is used to it and thinks the phoneme C is easier to pronounce than the phoneme T. Okay. So, and the last one for the summary. This research is very helpful in learning more deeply from the linguistic side of how the role of children in acquiring language. Also, in terms of the method used is also interesting. I mean, which uses it uses a qualitative approach. It's examining problems on a case-by-case basis because the qualitative methodology believes that the nature of one problem will be different from the nature of other problems, so that we can know and can apply in real life about how we respond to early childhood in acquiring language. And besides that, from the theories used in this research, there is a description as follows. Number one, takes place in an informal situation. Children learn without a burden and takes place outside of school. Number two, the language acquisition is not through formal learning in educational institutions such as schools or courses. Number three, done unconsciously or spontaneously. Number four, experienced directly by the child and occurs in a meaningful language context for the child. That's for the summary. And maybe this is all I can say. Hopefully with this presentation, there are benefits that we can take. So yeah, thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.